Hello everyone and welcome back to another AFK Journey video. In this video we're going to be going over the updated Pride Win tier list for PvP and the Dream Realm, because I really think these are the two most important game modes in AFK Journey, and if you have a good idea of which heroes do the best in those modes, then you can try to invest into those heroes. And I will be briefly talking about all of the where all of the heroes lie, but not going into detail, because when I make a detailed video on this it ends up going really long. And I want this to be sort of a shorter video. But if I have any major disagreements with the tier list, then I will point them out. Okay, now for the damage dealers, they have Lily May in here. Lily May is a new hero added compared to the previous tier list, and I definitely agree with them that she is top of the tier in PvP right now to counter enemy Irons. Her damage output is also really good, and even though she doesn't have great tanky stats, she is able to survive for long enough because she has her invincibility on casting Rainstorm Ballet, and that gives her a lot more survivability. Along with her, they have Odie, Aradin, Vala, and I do agree, I think they are really all top tier damage dealers, but I would not put them in the same tier as Diurnal. Like, we have Diurnal here, and I think Diurnal is a tier above all other damage dealers currently in the game. Right now, he is the best Celestial Hypergene damage dealer, like pure hyper carry damage dealer, not necessarily the best form of damage for Celestial Hypergene, which I still think is Scarlita, but Scarlita is also more of a tanky role compared to Diurnal. But yeah, so Diurnal I would say is S+, all the other ones can be in the S tier, but they are top tier damage dealers. For the specialists, we have the Scarlita and Iron, which have to be here. These are still the top two PvP heroes in the game. Even though Lily May counters Irons, I don't think it changes anything about Iron's strength. He is still very strong on offense, of course, because you know if there's a Lily May, and then on defense he's still really good, because it means they have to bring Lily May to try and counter him, and it isn't even a full counter, because if he can regenerate his energy fast enough, he can get off his second ultimate before Lily May can interrupt him. Caroline and Taylor, I think, would go down to the S tier. They're both good damage dealers, but I don't think are top tier for this category. And then for the supports, we have Damien, Haywin, Rainier. I do agree with Damien and Haywin. Haywin is crucial for any stall team. I know some people might not think she does enough, but just giving the damage reduction she gives to your team, along with her ultimate cast and the healing she provides, is more than enough for any stall team. No other hero can do anything like that, and you need that damage reduction because you're not going to be running Coco in a stall team. It isn't the most effective choice, but Haywin is there, and Haywin is the best option right now. I'm running her on my defense, and I think it is the best version of a defense you can craft for a stall team. Damien as well is one of the best supports in the game, probably the best support. Like, I would think Damien is even better than Haywin because he provides healing and the haste buff, but he doesn't provide damage reduction like Haywin. Rainier is good on offense because you can swap people, but people will design the defense to counter Rainier, so that's why I think he goes down to the S tier, just like Vala. They're counterable on defense, and you don't want to run them on defense either. Okay, we have Thorin. Thorin is the best tank in the game. I agree with that. And Granny and Freyasto are second to him. I kind of agree with that, but there are circumstances where you would prefer to have Granny, like into enemy Thorns. Granny does well. And Freyasto as well. Having two heroes for the price of one. There's a lot of value in that. I think definitely in Supreme Arena he has a lot of uses. So I could even understand all three of them being in the S+ tier, but I'm fine with them both being the S tier. Then moving down to the actual S tier that they've rated here, Elsa, Floribel, Sylvina for the damage dealers. I do agree with that. I think they're all great. Elsa is really good in a crowd control team, but that team has become a little bit weaker now that you can prevent the enemy Iron's initial ultimate with Lily May. So the team has lost a bit of its strength, and that is also why Almas, previously I thought the Almas Elsa crowd control combo is the best for defense, but now with Lily May countering the initial Iron ultimate means that Almas can immediately elongate the crowd control and Elsa can immediately get the damage off, and that is going to reduce the strength of that team. Shakir is amazing. He's always good in PvP, giving the buffs to your team in the Lupine with his wolf form. Igor I don't think belongs in the S tier. I would move him down to the A tier. He can be decent in stall options, and if you don't have other heroes built up, he can be fine, but I don't think he's a top tier hero, and he gets hard countered by Odie. All it takes is Odie to plant his execution onto him, and he is going to go down and not be as annoying as he normally can be. And then Coco Rowan supports. Yeah, Coco is really good on offense, not amazing on defense, but in Supreme Arena you will be running her. Even on him on defense, he's really good. And then Rowan, yeah, Rowan for energy generation is a really solid support. So I agree with all of that so far, down to the A tier. Brian, Cecia, Viperion, I can agree with all of that. If Cecia or Brian are heroes you have built on your account and you don't have the other S or S plus tier options, then definitely these would be your next best choices. Seth, I don't know, I don't have much experience with him. I know he can like get snowballing and get kills, but I don't think he's I would put him down to the B tier and maybe even move Reese up to the A tier, because I would definitely rather put a Reese on my defense than a Seth. And Viperion as well can deal a lot of damage, especially with Ludovic to heal him. So they've moved Ludovic down to the A tier. I do agree with that. I think he should be on the same tier as Smokey. I don't think he belongs in the S tier. I think Rowan and Coco are more impactful. There are teams where Ludovic can do really well, and if you have multiple forms of healing, or like we said with Viperion, to keep him healed up and keep his damage rolling through, then they are really good. Smokey but also is a good option, but he's a bit counterable because he needs to be in the ideal position to buff up your entire team if the enemy has any form of like silencing or rooting the Smokey. His aura is going to be interrupted, and also if they can just jump onto him with like a Sylvina at the beginning of the match, that can just kill him right away. For the specialist, Parissa, Tumisa, I definitely agree with. I've seen them quite a bit more in PvP, and they're both really strong. And in Supreme Arena, definitely. Soren, Citrana, I hardly ever see. I don't think they should be A tier. I would move them down to the B tier. And for tanks, Antandra, Brutus, Lucius, I agree with all of this. All of them are great tanks. Brutus potentially could even move up to the S tier. I think he is really strong because of his invincibility and working well in a Molar team and to tank out enemy Valas, but I'm fine with him in the A tier as well. Then moving down to the B tier, we move Reese up, like we said. Corrin, Merrily, Salazar. Corrin is the best out of these because he provides shielding and true damage to the enemies. Merrily takes too long to ramp up in PvP. She's not a great option, but if you have nothing else built, you can use her. Cassidy is not bad in PvP if you have nothing else built, but she isn't the greatest, so B tier is where she belongs, I think. Walker and Leica, people have used Walker. We have Wooster on our server who's built up Walker, and he uses him a lot in Supreme Arena. I don't know if he's still using him on his defenses, but Walker is fine if you've invested into him, and Leica for the attack speed buff for your team can be good. Like she's mainly good with Diurnal, but she's not the best option even for Diurnal. For Diurnal, like having Damien and Haywin is better for the protection and support, and also providing the execution stacks for Diurnal. And then finally in the C tier, nothing too notable here. And Lumont is good for in this new season for AFK stages mainly. You can even use him in Supreme Arena because his seasonal skill is pretty good. It's the same seasonal skill as Lucius, I believe. So I would move him up to the B tier at least for this season. Okay, so that is a PvP tier. That's done. Now we're going to move on to the Dream Realm and take a look at it. So they've put Lily May at... Okay, no, I don't think Lily May should be above Corrin, Merrily, and Odie. All four should be in the same tier right now. Lily May, so there's 3 Dream Realm bosses where Lily May is the best. One of them is Necrodraken. One of them is, no, not Necrodraken. What am I saying? One of them is King Croaker, one of them is Snow Stomper, one of them is Skyclops. She is the best damage dealer in all of these options. For the other ones, can kind of be on par with the other ones, but I mean the other damages are just going to usually be better. So I think because she's only the best in 3 of the bosses, and even in those bosses you're going to be using one of these other damages like Merrily or Odie, so along with her, they all belong in the S plus tier as well. And then for the specialists, we have Cassidy is not top tier. Kruger, Temesia, and Scarlita I would consider, and maybe even Talion should be top tier, S plus tier, because Kruger for Necrodraken boss, Temesia for Necrodraken, and Snow Stomper, they're part of the best scoring teams right now. Scarlita, if you have it built, is going to be a part of a lot of the top scoring teams, and Talion for King Croaker, along with like Ludovic. He's the highest damage for King Croaker. And because they are in the endgame teams, I'm going to put them in S+, but Cassidy is S tier because she's not a part of any of the top scoring endgame teams. She has uses in Dream Realm, definitely, but she isn't the ultimate. Like, there are heroes, like teams of 5, which do better than having her included, so she's not going to be a good option. And then for the supports, Coco, Rainier, Smokey, yeah, definitely. Rainier is the top support for increasing the damage the boss receives. Smokey and Coco are really the best supports to be running in the Dream Realm. And I would move Ludovic up to S tier. I know Ludovic is not top tier, but because he is in the best scoring team for the King Croaker boss with Talion, he needs to be in the S tier because he is a part of one of the top scoring teams. Cassidy isn't even one of the top scoring teams, and we have kept her in the S tier here. Thorin and Fresto, yeah, Fresto is key for like 3 or 4 of the Dream Realm bosses, and Thorin for a few of them. And he's a really good option, increases the damage the boss receives as well. Now moving down the list, now we have heroes which you do not see as, well, Vala should be up to the S tier, because in the Snow Stomper boss, Vala is the best damage dealer option. I think it might have changed after Lily May might have replaced her, but if you don't have Lily May, then Vala still is going to be the best option for you, so I would move the Vala up to the S tier. The other damage dealers here, yeah, they remain in the A tier. Basically, if you have none of these other heroes built up, all in the S and S plus tier, then you can move on to these A tier damage dealers, but these are not going to be great for you. All of these are not top tier damage dealers. Floribel for Snorstomper is a top tier damage dealer. So Floribel should also move up. Floribel and Vala should move up to the S tier, but the other 5, not part of any endgame team comps, and Floribel only for Snow Stomper, Vala only for Snow Stomper, the best option. Satrana, no. Satrana should be down, you don't use her anywhere, and Shakir as well. Like, he can be in the A tier because him and Cassidy are kind of similar. You would think that they would be a part of some of the top scoring endgame boss teams because they have buffs to improve the damage of your team, but they just aren't. They are not going to increase the damage in the Dream Realm compared to the other team options you have with the top tier heroes. So I would keep him in the A tier. Brutus, Lucius, you don't ever use Brutus in Dream Realm. Doesn't make sense. Lucius does. So Brutus should be down to like even B or C tier. But Lucius, you do have uses because he gives the damage and haste buff to your team with the seasonal skill, and he can protect your team. He can act like a support. There have been some endgame team comps using Lucius, so I would consider him good. Diurnal is not used in Dream Realm, and yeah, now all of the remaining heroes we have here, basically do not bring them to Dream Realm unless you literally have nothing else built. Yeah, Dumont as well, even with the seasonal skill, it's the same as Lucius, but he doesn't provide the support, the protection that Lucius provides, so you wouldn't ever want to be using Dumont. And yeah, all of these other heroes, none of them. Oh, well, Sylvina needs to move up. Sylvina needs to move up to A tier at least, because in the now Lone Gaze, you can be running Sylvina instead of this, like basically Sylvina and I think Odie as your 2 damage dealers, and that is going to maximize your score for the Dream Realm boss if you don't have a Scarlita. I think the team is Coco Smokey, Rainier, Odie, and Sylvina. I think that is a top scoring team if you don't have Scarlita. So Sylvina needs to move up to the A tier at least, maybe even, yeah, probably A tier. Because for the other Dream Realm bosses, she is not the greatest option. But anyway, guys, that is going to be it for the overview of both the PvP and the Dream Realm tier list. I'll have a link to this Pride Win tier list in the description of the video if you want to check it out for yourself. I hope you guys enjoyed the video. Thank you for watching, and let me know what you thought about this shorter format of the tier list, because otherwise, when we go into depth, it kind of takes way too long, and I feel like people lose interest in a long video like that. So I wanted to do a more short and sweet version. But thank you for watching, guys. I hope you enjoyed it. I'll hopefully see you guys in the next video, and until then, everyone, peace out for now.